Hello and welcome to the Humble Ego Podcast, a space where we can have truthful conversations about the hard, uncomfortable and rewarding parts of being a creative. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joy, and through conversations with the creators I admire, I really wanted to just break down and learn how we can stay true to our authentic selves whilst putting our work out into the world. Today is a really exciting episode because I am joined with filmmaker, director, writer, I would say actor as well.
Yeah. Kind of.
Just like incredible storyteller and founder of Something Deadly Productions, Jahvis Loveday.
Welcome.
Well, welcome to you.
Did you memorize that whole intro?
Yeah.
It's really good.
I fuck it up every time.
It's really good.
But I'm trying. I feel really chill having you on the podcast because for those of you who watch my YouTube, me and Jarvis have done so many videos. Yeah, countless videos over the years. You're kind of like my main YouTube collaborator. Yeah. Such a big reason of why my channel grew as well.
And mine.
Yeah, both of us. So I just feel so comfortable in, like, I don't know, doing this with you. It just feels like so normal.
I don't know. Out of everyone and all of my friends, when we're on camera, it just kind of just works.
It just works.
It's always
in real life. It's
so bad.
So every time we hang out, we have to put the cameras on.
If there's no camera, we ain't hanging out.
Yeah, but no, this is really exciting because we've filmed so many videos together, especially like talking videos. But I feel like we haven't really we always record for like 2 hours and then I have to edit it so much. So it's kind of exciting having this like difference where I'm like, okay, we can just chat for a while because it's a podcast.
Yeah, I feel terrible for you when we record videos.
Yeah, we just
going through 2 hours and like 45 minutes worth of footage is ridiculous. But no, I'm excited. It's a great opportunity to be able to just like, I don't know, dive deeper into our connection as well because YouTube only can show half of it or, you know, completely less than half of what makes us up. So
yeah, and as a person, like, I truly mean this. Like, you are one of the most amazing people I know and have such an amazing story. And like, I feel like not many people would know about it because we haven't really shared much more about, I don't know, just like the more like behind the scenes of things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess the videos we've created in the past usually always have a topic or a theme or a trend.
Yeah. So this is kind of nice. So I wanted you guys to just like get to know Jahvis more. And I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you, and like how I usually start my podcast, is just like, tell me your story. Like, what are the moments in your life and things that have happened that have led you to this point and who you are? I mean, I know that's such a broad thing, but you can start at like fucking day one when you're a baby, like whatever you feel.
Yeah. So, it's a big yarn, but I'll give it my best shot. So I guess a huge part of what makes me as a person and who I am today is my culture and my heritage. So for our international audiences, I'm Aboriginal and First Nations of Australia. So I come from the Jurubal mob of far north Queensland, which is the Mission Beach area. And that's my dad's heritage and what runs through my blood. And I've grown up here around Byron Bay, which is the Bundjalung Nation. All my life. I was born here in Mullumbimby at the Mullumbimby Hospital, which is gone.
It's gone.
Which is weird to think that the first building I ever entered into this world is not there anymore.
Yeah. It was my favorite hospital as well. I'm so sad it's gone.
It's so weird. But yeah, so I've grown up here all my life, learning the culture here with my 8 brothers and sisters. So I'm one of 8. And we were all raised by my mum, single mum. And yeah, so I've got strong connections to this country here, which is the Minjibul people, the Arakwal people, the Widjabul Waiabul, the Nyambul people. So all of the tribes around here, I've learned so much of the culture and been indulged with it. And so it's a part of my story and a part of who I am, even though that I am a Jurubal fella from up North Queensland way. I'm also from this area and this is a part of my story. Growing up here, it was so good. It's just, I don't know how to describe it, but this place is an amazing spot to grow up because of the beaches, because of the rivers, the land, the waters. Everything is just, it's amazing. So I've grown up around the water, around, swimming and it's just such a huge part of who I am, especially in a big family of 8. And then I've also got uncles and brothers and cousins and everything. So that's been a huge part of who I am and growing up here. So I kind of went to all of the schools you could imagine. I never really enjoyed it, any of the public school systems.
Yeah.
It isn't who I am. It isn't what I needed, especially, growing up around bush and water and culture, sitting in a classroom full of, 140 other kids in a public school is just, I never found who I was.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I was in the Southern Cross Public School in about year 7, and we were living in Lennox Head, and me and my siblings were all raised by my mum, and then she passed away in 2013 when I was, I would have been 12.
Are you a year below? Are you 2000? Oh, yeah, 12 turning 13, I guess.
Yeah, because I'm born in December. So I would have been 12 turning 13. So that was a huge shock for us.
Yeah.
Me and my brothers and sisters. Obviously, that was everything. That she was our whole life. She was everything to
your
us.
mum.
We were completely lost. Yeah. And it's, it's still obviously so fresh, even 9 years later or however long away it is. It still shapes me and it shapes my family and how we navigate this world and who we are as
100%.
people. So after that happened, we moved in with my Uncle Nick and Auntie Tanya, and they took us on, all 8 kids or 7 kids, and Uncle Nick already had 4 kids himself, so it was a crazy household. I shared a room with my little brother and my little cousin Miri, and I've always shared rooms. I've never had my own room until I left high school and moved to Melbourne. That was literally the first time.
And even then, like, you were living in what, like a household of like 5 people?
Yeah,
like
6 people.
6 people, which is like, still a big household. Like,
and a share house as well.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of been a people person.
Yeah.
And a group oriented person. That's who I am at heart, 100%. Just the way I've been raised and the way my family works is we all are a big community.
Yeah.
So, in year 9, I left Southern Cross to join Shearwater Steiner School, which is where I met you.
That's where we met, yeah.
Where I met my friend group, who I still, hold close to me today. And it's who I am. So, I never wanted to join Shearwater because there's this weird name about Shearwater where everyone thinks it's Shitwater Stoner School.
Yeah.
And, going to a public school, that's what you hear about it because people just talk shit about Shearwater.
Like the weird Steiner kids that are just like fucking
hippies running around a paddock with cows.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you hear. So
which is partly true.
It is true.
Like, there's truth to that.
But it's healthy.
But it's good. And I definitely am so grateful to have gone to that school compared to any other school.
Yeah. And I don't know. I honestly can't really remember what changed my mind to leave because I had my group of friends and I had, comfortability. But the public school system, I just hated it. I hated learning. I couldn't learn. I couldn't play the songs I wanted to play on piano out of, peer pressure of friends. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do. So I left, and that was in 2015. And then in 2016, I joined Shearwater in year 10. And I met all you guys, and it took me probably 5 days to be like, this is awesome. So good. I can't believe how much better this is.
Yeah.
And it's just so much better. Going from calling my teachers Mr. and Mrs. and wearing a uniform to calling my teachers by their first names to wearing what I want to not wearing shoes and running around the cow paddock with the cows. Like, it was just exactly what I needed. And I feel like that's where I found myself and who I am and a lot of what makes me today. Yeah,
completely. I feel like our school, one of my favorite things about it is that it just really nurtures creativity. Like, it really allows people to just step into that. And I feel like it sounds like you were just like so ready to just like get into your music and stuff, which is another thing. Like you have always played music, and like it's such a big part of you that I don't think we've ever talked about in a music, but like I've always known that you play piano. And like I remember when you came to Shearwater, like before you even got into film, it was kind of like music was your way of like, I don't know. So it's like
expressing.
Yeah, I want to know, like, was there a moment where it did kind of click that you wanted to do more photography and film? Like what kind of like happened to be like, oh, this is actually what I want to spend more time doing?
I think it was a combination of things. Like music for me was, and still is, my way of expressing my artistic emotions. That's how I would put it. And my mum taught me how to play piano, and yeah, I've always been in love with music and music composition, and I still am. But around year 10, year 11, when I first joined Shearwater, we went on a family trip to Norfolk Island. So a lot of my family is also from Norfolk Island. They're the traditional owners there, which is 1,600 kilometres off the coast of New South Wales, off Byron. And yeah, so we went there for a wedding, and it was the first time I'd been overseas with my whole family, and I really wanted to capture it and make a memory. So I just used my phone to kind of, you know, film heaps of different stuff, and I didn't know what I was doing. I'd film landscape, and then I'd film portrait, and then, you know, so it was terrible. It was a terrible video, but it's, yeah, when I first made that, I just cut it all together on my phone, and I was like, this is so dope. Like I get to watch myself with my family, you know, fishing and diving off the most beautiful, pristine island, and capture that memory. And then it kind of clicked there when I was like, I can capture these memories and rewatch them and turn them into a story. And for me and my culture, that's a huge part of who we are, and what makes up our culture is telling our story. Yeah. We're the oldest living culture on this planet, and the way we pass down our stories was always through song, through dance, through art, and through our vocals. So actually just telling our stories around fires. And I guess for me, when I found film, that is my way of telling my story and my culture. And that's who I'm settling into these days. I wasn't in touch so much at school. You know, I would always do dance with uncle and stuff. I would be like, whatever. I'm interested in girls and friends.
Yeah,
and
like
whatever.
When you're younger also, it's kind of like you more so are just trying to figure out who you are and fit in and stuff. And, you know, growing up with all that culture, it's so easy to, you know, take it for granted, even though I have it very differently with, like, you know, coming from Israel and like even Jewish traditions and stuff. It's like, it's easy to when you're a kid be like, oh, it's just dancing. But then you get older and you're like, there is so much history and power and importance in all these things. And like, I don't know, seeing you do that through your film and so many other ways is like, it's just like, oh, that's what makes sense. That's what we all should be doing. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what we're here to do. Like I truly believe that. Yeah. And so yeah, it's so beautiful seeing you like come into that and tell your story. Yeah.
And I like, especially with culture, because it, for me and for you guys, it runs through our veins. Like it is literally passed down through DNA. So no one can tell it better than we can. And that's for me what's most important in my films and my stories, and staying true to my own story is no one can tell it better than me. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I began to pick up film. And then in year 12, I chose it as a subject. It was on the same line as maths. So I would run between the maths room and the photography room, go to maths first, quickly do what I can, and then run to photography and try pick it up as well. I did that for a few months, and then eventually I was like, all right, this is way too hard. So I dropped maths. I was like, I'm finished with you, and joined photography. Shearwater's clutches had me. I'm no longer an academic. I'm a creative. So I gave up on that idea, and then went full headfirst into film, photography, and everything storytelling. Yeah. Which is awesome. And then I made a film called Arrest Out of Time for my HSC.
Yeah.
And, you know, to this day, I watch it and I'm like, it's not that bad.
No,
there
was moments of like, whoa, like this could be cool. Like,
you can see it not as a film, but as potential.
Yeah. Which for like your first film, it's all you kind of need. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you can relate. Like, you just, with film and with so many creative things, like you only learn by doing it and learning the mistakes. Like me and you both learned most film stuff from just like making it and watching YouTube videos and being like, well, fuck, I'll know not to put it on that setting again or blah, blah, blah. And so like, I feel like just you starting those films, like you seeing I just got a sneak peek of like Jahvis's latest film and it's next level. And like, I just know that you would have only got there from all the films you made and like learnt from that and accumulated knowledge, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
And
I think what helped as well in school was actually seeing you create, because you were also one of the only other people who were creating videos and films in school constantly.
Yeah.
So when I first came, I was like, oh, she's doing YouTube. And like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So actually seeing you create, I was like, sick. There's someone who also does this. And I don't know, we were both creating alongside each other and learning and sharing, and that's what really helped as well.
Fully. And then from my perspective, I remember when you started putting out videos on YouTube, like you were doing kind of like Casey Neistat type videos because you were doing so much skating and stuff. But I remember just feeling like just so comforted by it, like to have someone else in, even though we weren't really close in those years of school, like having someone else in my circle and in my year putting themselves out online and creating videos was like, oh, okay, this is okay. Like, I'm not completely in it alone. And like, I don't know, it was very refreshing, like, to have that.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I kind of forgot about until you just said that. But I was just like, I remember watching your first videos and being like, oh, okay, cool. Like, someone else is doing this. And like, I don't know.
They were way worse than yours, but
they were actually pretty good. I remember watching some, not recently, but like maybe like a year ago, like rewatching some of your old videos.
I'm not diving that deep until I'm like 70.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, young me.
Yeah, when I can accept it. I have too much ego
I
get now.
I get that. I honestly can't watch so many of my old.
Yeah.
I can't watch my videos from like 2 months ago. No, that's a lie. But like it's just like crazy how much we can change and like how much you grow, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah, 100%.
It's hard watching yourself online.
Even like Bangalore, which is one of my most recent short films. I watched that last night at Flickerfest and I was like, Jesus. What have you done, Jahvis?
I know.
Like, I've already grown so much within a year, which is pretty crazy because, you know, we haven't, it's not like I've gone and made some crazy massive film. I just keep making videos and films, and already I'm like, oh my God, I can do so much better.
I know. Well, even we had, right after we graduated, we made a film, me, you, and our other friend Alice, and we made it in one night. Like, it was super just like, fast put together, and then it just ended up doing so well and winning awards. Till like last year we got like another award and stuff for it, and it was just like, I don't know, every time we watch it we're like, really guys, you actually still like it? Like, this is so not us anymore.
I still get emails every probably month from festivals being like, can we put Home in? And I'm like, it's finished.
It's done, guys. This is the past. Ended. Here is our new work.
Yeah.
So, but like, it's, I guess it's also I think it's a balance of like, okay, moving forward and like not holding on to that and seeing where you've grown, but also being like, okay, you know what? Like, that my old work isn't like rubbish just because I've grown and am now better. Like,
yeah. And like with Home as well, that was the first kind of film where for me, it was that sense of create what you know, create what you feel.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, we got together one afternoon and just quickly came up with an idea. And then that night we shot it, you edited it, and then we submitted it.
Yeah.
So that was the first kind of time where I realized every, like, stories and films for me, you can never really prepare so much for them because they might come when you least expect it.
Yeah.
And for us, just leaving school, we were like, oh, we're leaving school, cool. But then we made a film about it, and then it turns out there's this massive universal audience for that.
Completely.
And that feeling of leaving home. And that's I think why it did so well is we stayed so true to our story and who we were at the time. And then I left school, went to Melbourne. I had an offer from AFTRS in Sydney, which is the Australian Film, Television, Radio School.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, come to our school, we'll give you a scholarship and stuff. And none of my friends were going to Sydney.
Yeah, you were like, fuck that.
And I was like, sorry guys, I'm not going to do that. So I went to SAE instead, which is still good, but it's a lot worse than AFTRS.
Yeah.
And a lot more expensive.
Yeah, fuck.
So I didn't get a scholarship there, but I really just wanted to be with friends because that's where I knew I'd be comfortable making films.
Yeah.
So
and for you, like, you know, family and friends, like you said, with everything that's happened and just who you are as a person, like, it's so important to you that it's like, okay, fuck whatever school I'm going to, like, I just want to be around people that I can connect and create with and stuff, which I really respected, because I remember in high school finding out you got the scholarship and I was like, really, you're not gonna just take it? Like, that's insane. And you were like, no, I'm going to where, like, I want to be with my people. And I was like, true, that's fucking
I would have left most likely.
Yeah.
And even Melbourne, it was really hard.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of came to the realization that cities for me aren't who I am.
Yeah.
And it was really hard being away from my family for the first time, like moving away, because it was such a massive support system in who I am in my life. I was like, every single holidays that I had from uni, I would drive straight home and just hang out with everyone and go surfing and camping and fishing. And then would head back and do another trimester and then make a couple films and straight back home. So it was hard, but it was a good learning curve to kind of realize what I hold true to me and what drives me to create films as well.
Yeah. Which you would say is what?
I would say the main things that I make films about are family, community, culture, and home.
Yeah.
That's such a huge thing of who I am. So for my capstone project, which is like the final project that you do in uni, I created a film called Barmer, which means rainforest mob or community in Far North Queensland. And I got my little brother to star in that. I always rope so many people into
so good.
Doing my films.
Yeah, because you want to create with the people you love, and that maybe like inspired part of the, you know, like. Yeah.
So that film Barmer did really well. It went on to represent Australian cinema at the World Expo in Dubai in 2021, which is crazy. Like, crazy. I never would have thought that would have happened. Yeah. So that again solidified what I wanted to create, which was home, community, family vibes. Yeah. And then, you know, I used all real footage over 4 years of that I'd been using a camera, and I just used that as like flashbacks and memories, which were all true flashbacks and memories. Yeah. And I think again that's why it did so well and found its success, because it stayed so true to my story and what I wanted to say. And at the time, Barmer is about the fear of losing the magic of family and community when we're so far away from them. Yeah. And it's like home too, basically. It's in this weird trilogy that I'm creating in short films about, you know, leaving home, being away from home, and returning home. Yeah. Because
that's kind of your story. Like, that's what you're going through. That's what you know. And so many other people are going through those same things in their own ways. And I think something we both like really felt, and probably a lot of what like home and a lot of your films like stem from, is that sense of like belonging. Do you know what I mean? And like home for me is so much about belonging, and like for you with your culture, it's so like family and nature and place and tradition. Like that's, you know, probably, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like your definition of home and stuff. And I think that really resonates with people, you know?
Yeah, because at the basis of human connection, that's what it is. Home, family, like that's how you survive. That's how you thrive. Yeah. So I think there's a massive audience there for it. And what I kind of want to pursue is that feeling, that sense of belonging. Yeah. And so moving forward, I created this company called Something Deadly, which, you know, in Aboriginal culture, deadly is a word where it's not, we're not talking about like a brown snake or a crocodile deadly. It's deadly means, you know, that's mad. That's so cool. Like it's, you know, it's a positive word. So yeah, Something Deadly is all about that learning by doing it yourself experience. And that's where I'm starting to take this company, and by creating films and video series and just everything you can imagine, and capturing it. And yeah, I've got lots of opportunities working with, you know, crazy companies like Screen Australia and Instagram and Regional Arts Australia and all of these different funding bodies and huge companies that want to work with me and the company and the culture and stuff. So yeah, by following what I know and staying true to my story, I've been able to find a business path in that, which is crazy.
I also wanted to touch on before, like you were saying, you know, your films have won all these like awards and stuff, like even our first film, but all your films that you've made since then have just done so well. And like you've had all these incredible opportunities of like, you know, Instagram and all that, Screen Australia, like you mentioned. I just want to know, because I know you as a friend, like you're so fucking humble and chill about all that stuff. Like the amount of crazy stuff that happens to Jahvis that I'll only hear about months later from someone being like, did you hear that happen? Because Jahvis just so, I don't know, like you're just so chill about it. And I really mean that in the best way. Like even when we were winning all our awards, like you'd just be so like chill about it.
Yeah.
But like also like not in a way of like making it not a big deal. Like you're like, this is fucking crazy. But like, I don't know. I just wanted to know, like, how has ego played into, you know, the success that you're having, and like, how do you stay humble? And yeah.
It's such a hard question because I think often I don't think too much about my ego and my position around that whole yarn. I think for me, staying humble and true to who I am whilst, you know, receiving awards and grants and being in that public eye, I think it has to do a lot with culture.
Yeah.
And yeah, staying true to that, because it is such a huge part of who I am. And I don't know, like at a certain extent, I think I do have a social anxiety around putting myself out there and collaborating and being the person who steps up and going, oh, hi, I'm Jahvis. I'm done this and that. And I'm amazing. Do you want to work with me? Like, to a certain extent, I do that because that's how I, you know, continue to support myself and find work. But it is really hard for me at the same time to do that, because it's not really who I am and a part of my culture to get up and, you know, just talk about all the amazing things that I've done and look how cool I am. It's it's a hard balance.
Do you feel like your family is a huge part of why you can remain that way? Just because I feel like whenever I'm with your family, like they're all so amazing and just like so supportive and present, and I don't know, it's like everything's like not a big deal. It's like you're going through so much in your family that it's like, okay, yeah, Jahvis just did this, like well done, but like moving on, what are we making for dinner kind of thing. Like
that's a good point. Yeah, I think I'm kind of realizing that now as we speak. My family and the way we operate is, and that is especially around Aboriginal culture, is like the group well-being is your well-being.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
So it's not about the one person doing amazing.
Yeah.
It's about how well the group is doing and the community. And, you know, it's about looking after each other. Yeah. And a good way to put it, which an uncle was telling me, was think about your family as a river. So on a river, you have, in the old days, many different tribes along the river. from the mouth of the river to, you know, halfway up to where the fresh water meets the salt water.
Yeah.
And they all have to do their part to contribute to look after that river. So if your neighbors, for example, aren't looking after the river, cleaning up, making sure they're not, you know, taking too many fish or leaving crap everywhere or destroying the native plants and the mangroves, if they're doing that, then your fish will not be as plentiful in your part of the river. So you go up and you go, oh, are you looking after up that way, or, you know, to the south, or are you looking after the mouth of the river and whatnot? So if one part isn't working, all of it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I think that's what is important in my family. And I guess how I stay humble and true to who I am is I'm doing really well, but I want to make sure that the whole group's doing well as well.
Completely. And like all of your successes and their successes, and the same with like, you know, struggles is everyone's, you know, like and I think that's so beautiful, like the way you described that with the river, and I can see it in your family. Like whenever I'm with you guys, I'm like, you guys embody that so much, like that sense of community and family and support, and that's rare, you know, and that's you guys, and it's your culture as well. That, you know, like I wasn't born in Australia, but I've grown up in Australia, and like learning more and more about the Indigenous culture, I'm like, fuck, we would be living in a great world if like that was just taught more, and you know, not
part of Australian society,
literally, like and just in general in the world, the amount of Western society that has like made it this like we're all against each other and we need to fight to compete against each other, rather than seeing all of our successes as like a good thing to build us up. Like, what's wrong with other people like doing that's just gonna lift us up? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think that's why I've been able to connect a lot with you guys and the Jewish community here, is because I see that in your family as well. And the whole yarn about making sure the family is okay and everyone supports each other, I definitely see that in
just community.
Your family and our mutual friend Idan's family and stuff like that. So it's just at the basis of well-being is how well is your family and community doing.
Completely. And just like being of service. I think that's like the biggest thing that my mum ingrained in me with like creativity and stuff, is just like whenever I'd get lost and I'd be like, I don't know what video to do or whatever, she's just like, well, what video can help other people? Like, what do you feel like you can give to the people around you or the world and stuff? And it always comes in different ways. Like, it could be a video of us fucking talking about sex and normalizing that and making people feel more comfortable about talking about that with their friends. Like, it comes in so many shapes. There's no like right or wrong, but it's coming from that intention of like, how can I be of service? And I think when I come from that place, a lot of the ego disappears, because I'm like, I'm just doing what I can. Like, I'm no, like, you know, like I'm just part of creating the world that I want to live in the same way that the people around me are as well, you know?
Even if we can help one person, then job's done.
Exactly. And like, I really try to remind myself that, because, you know, I could sit here on the couch and be like, yeah. But like, there's moments obviously where ego does come in. And like, I'm just like, like suddenly in this, I need to do well, and is this good enough, and what are people going to think, and all that stuff, instead of like,
just putting it out there.
Just put it out there and like do what you can, and like trust that. I don't know. I think you do that really beautifully, and I'm just constantly learning from you in so many ways. And
I guess the person, if you're putting stuff out there, the person who's going to care the most is yourself. Yeah. And everyone else doesn't care as much as you. No.
And I think that's what really helped us as well with YouTube, was that it was like, it was fucking proof. Like, you put a video out there and it gets 3 views and you're like, oh shit, like, true, like, I made this full thing, and like, people don't care kind of thing. Like, and they do, like, and now we've grown more and stuff and have more of an audience, and you do feel like you can make an impact. But at the end of the day, I think us growing with that just really helped, I don't know, set that thing in your head of like, it's not like not everyone's stopping when you post a video or whatever, like,
Yeah.
and that's fine. Like,
If it's not going, like, if a video is not going to connect with someone, they're not going to watch it.
yeah.
And that's completely okay because they don't have to. Like, I don't sit there and watch every single video that comes across my Instagram feed. No way.
No.
And that's okay.
Yeah, completely.
And sometimes I will connect with a video that I don't know the creator, or maybe I do.
Yeah.
And I'll watch the full thing and I'll be like, damn, that was really good.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like crazy how much of the stuff that we don't even think about, like our short film that we just kind of like, oh, all right, just get it done. And then it just lands for people, and then things that you think maybe would, or, you know, like don't. So
yeah, like I guess putting out videos on my YouTube, a lot of my audience is your audience as well. And they're not going to connect with, say, a lot of different videos, maybe about culture or something about what is true to me. But I'm still going to put them out because...
Yeah, of course. And then you do find the people, if you stay true to yourself and post the stuff, you're going to attract the people that then are interested in that as well. And like your message is so important that even someone that maybe like wouldn't traditionally be gravitated to that can like learn. So like I've learned so much about culture just from watching your videos, and like honestly, like maybe if something came up on my feed, I wouldn't be the person to click on that. Like that's the truth. But through watching it and you telling your story from such a personal way and the way that you film and stuff, I've been able to learn so much and be like, fuck, this is important, you know?
And the other side of that is maybe you are the type of person to click on a video that you normally wouldn't. And I think that also is really cool. That's the serendipity of finding something that you normally wouldn't find is awesome. And like that's why we got to keep putting out videos and stuff, because maybe it will help someone who didn't know they need to be helped.
Completely. I think that's one thing like with our videos, because for those of you who don't know, pretty much I posted a video called asking my guy best friend or guy friends questions girls are too afraid to ask. It was a trend that was going around YouTube, where you kind of ask more like taboo questions about sex and relationships and get the guys to answer them for. And I didn't think I've tried to remember what I thought leading up to that, but I genuinely don't think I had much thoughts apart from I saw you and Jackson filming a video and I was like, I'd love to film a video with you guys, and this trend was going around and I was like, I know we can have honest, cool conversations, like let's just do this video. And then it blew up. Yeah. And that's how we both grew a lot.
It's so weird because like I don't know, most of those videos and most of the trends that were going around were so just rubbish. So rubbish. Like they were all like, what do you prefer? Like blonde or brown?
It's like, fuck, like, I don't know.
That's not talking about sex. That's just talking about your preference. Yeah. Like, they were so rubbish. And I watched a few when you first were like, oh, let's film a video. And I watched a few and I was like, Jesus. Yeah. Does Joey want us to do this? Like, but I did trust you to actually ask really good questions because of, you know, the school we went to and the community we grew up in. Yeah. Talking about what matters and not talking about rubbish. Like, I had trust in you to actually write good questions, and you actually wrote really good questions.
But it was that, but it was also that you and Jackson, and then later we filmed another one with Luca, our friend. You guys are, the way you've been brought up and the way you guys are in our relationships and stuff, it's like you guys are actually able to be vulnerable and like actually talk about shit, which is the reflection we got from everyone after we posted that video. Was like, holy shit, these guys are amazing and actually like talking about stuff like in such a open, honest way. Yeah. And like that's, I don't know, it really was like amazing to be like, oh, like just by seeing young men communicate in that way is so fucking rare and helped so many people, you know?
Which again ties into why I make films.
Exactly.
Staying true to your word and staying true to your humble ego, then, you know, you will find an audience that really respects that. And
yeah,
even still to this day, I still get messages 2 years later being like, I loved the video with you and Joy. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, fully.
It's crazy.
Fully. And like we talked a little bit about Humble and stuff, and I want to hear your kind of take on this, because for years I've been making videos, right? And like doing all this stuff. And something that I really learnt from you and that really changed my perspective is like, after we made our short film, you were the one that put it into all the competitions. Like you had that drive to be like, you know what? Fuck it. Might as well like just try and like put it out there. And I don't know, you did it with so much like ease and confidence. And like part of me is that, I don't know, just I really got inspired by that, because I was like, fuck, maybe it's as also a woman and stuff, I'm always so scared of like being proud of just putting stuff out there. And I really learned like, fuck, I need to do that more, because that's what brings the success, you know. And that's kind of the part of the humble ego, of the ego side of being able to be like, you know what, I've created something, I'm going to put it out there and like put it into these competitions. And like, how did you get to that? Like, did you have a fight on that in yourself of like, should I do it, should I not? Or was like,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I feel like it was such an easy transition to making the film to then sharing the film, because it's a story that stays so true to me, and it's literally just me and you and Alice and our experience. So I don't know, just being able to just put that out there and go, hey, this is our story, like, what do you think? We would love to be a part of your festival. That was a really easy transition. Rather than making something that is not my story, I would feel way different. Yeah. So if it was a film that I, you know, didn't really connect with. It's like you were able to
back it because you really believed in it.
Yes. It's not me saying, look at me, like I made this amazing thing. Yeah. It's just me being able to be like, hey, I've got this film. It's a story that we're going through, and it's a story that we've been through. I think it would be a great fit for your festival.
Yeah. But even you saying that, like, that's so hard for me. Like, I've learnt to get better at that.
Yeah.
And like, I've learnt from you, but like, just to even just be like, yeah, like, I think this could work, like, or something. I'm like, oh my God. Like, yeah. And that's where in the humble ego, I really needed the ego to be able to be like, Joy, you're allowed to like fucking make a film and be like, okay, like,
yeah, I think making the film, that's a part of it that you have to accept, especially in this industry. You, at a certain extent, you have to have that ego to get up and be like, look, this is what I've done.
Yeah.
And for me, I think my biggest drive in actually spreading my films and my stories with other people is no one else is doing it for me.
Yeah.
No one else is going to do it for you. No one's going to do it. So you're the only person who can.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I've gotten to where I am today, is every opportunity that I've gotten is usually me emailing someone being like, hey, I love your show. I love your TV show. Like, I'd love to be a part of it. Or every grant, every opportunity is always me searching for it. And it's slowly now, it's beginning to, I'm seeing the change where people are actually coming to me and saying, we love what you've done with this, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to work with us here? So it's a lot of work in the beginning and you have to have that ego of putting yourself out there, but then it starts to swing and turn. And I think I'm in that transition of starting to see that turn. Yeah,
that's so beautiful. I feel like and I don't know if you can relate to this, but I always, as a creative, like, I was always like, yeah, like, I want to do music for a while. Like, when I was young, I was like, yeah, I want to be a singer. And then I was like, I want to be an actress. I was always just into, like, creative things. And I always had this, like, oh, yeah, like, opportunities are going to come my way. You know, like, I was always, like, waiting for, like, someone's going to just see my potential. I'm going to be walking on the street and they're going to be like, you're perfect for this Hollywood role. Like, you know, just like waiting for that. And I think I talked about this with like Patty as well in a podcast, but it's like, you get to a point where you're like, fuck, like if I don't do it, no one's going to do it. An opportunity
will come if you search for one.
Yeah. Like there's nothing wrong with being like, okay, well, if I want that, I need to be waving my flag and feel good enough in myself and have that self-worth to be like, like I might as well try. Like, you know, like, I'm here, like, and then it gets to a point where, like, after you reach out and start growing, then sometimes people then can see what you've done, but without you doing it first and showing what potential you have, people aren't just going to look at you and be like, oh, he would be a pretty good filmmaker. It's like you have to actually do it to show people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's so hard for those rare opportunities to come and find you without you doing anything, because it's a very specific fit. Like, if you, for example, like, I don't know, I just did the Instagram First Nations Creators Program, which is a very specific program for First Nations people to create Instagram content.
Yeah. And
I sent a video ages ago to Instagram being like, hey, Jahvis, this is, my Instagram. I do this and that. Talk about culture, and I talk about that. And then I talk about sex and education, or about relationships and life after high school. And without me sending that video, they would have to search through thousands and thousands of, Instagram accounts to try find the right fit. So I think those opportunities can come, but it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
And it might not suit you. Those opportunities will come, but it might not be exactly what you want.
Yeah.
So
completely.
If you want to do exactly what you want, you have to search for it yourself.
That's what I'm finding. It's like sometimes you just have to actually put your foot in the door, and then they'll kind of like, either bring you in or not, but like, having that ability to just try. And that takes so much fucking courage sometimes, like, but it's kind of how you get places. That's what I'm realizing. I don't know, I just would see all these like successful people and be like, oh my God, all these opportunities are coming their way. And then I had this moment of being like, oh, those people are fucking messaging all those people as well. Like, I could be doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's people that just get stuff happen to them, but a lot of the times also it's just like them being like, no, I just reached out to that brand or that thing, or whatever. Yeah. So another thing I wanted to talk to you about, because like we've said a lot, like we kind of grew online together and grew as filmmakers together, and just I don't know, you've been the person that I've leaned on a lot to be like, is this normal? Should I do this? Or like,
vice versa.
Yeah, and like one of the things that we've talked about a lot and like struggled with, and I'm still learning, but I feel like are a lot better, is just finding our price as a creative, because we've both had, once we put our foot out there or someone approached us about an opportunity, then they're like, what's your rate?
Yeah.
And that's where we're like, I'll message you, be like, fuck, is this too much? Is this too little? Like,
and it's such a hard conversation.
Just
but
money.
it's actually not as hard as you think.
Yeah, it's not exactly. You get more.
I don't know why people don't talk about money. Like, especially, if there's a job description in a window of a store and it's like, oh, kitchen hand, just put the price on which you would pay. Like, come on, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
So I definitely, being young, I definitely struggle with that. Not struggled, I still do.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to navigate that, and like that imposter syndrome as well of, am I actually worth this much?
Exactly.
Like, am I kidding myself? Like,
exactly.
So to put it bluntly, my rate for a filmmaker is $750 a day. That's my standard rate. And that is covering me creating a video, renting my gear, my cultural knowledge, my cultural liaison opportunities there. Because, if a company wants to work with me and go, oh, we would love to work with you and some of the traditional owners, blah, blah, blah. If they don't have that connection, they have to find someone who does, which is me. Yeah. So, for example, that's what I add into my rate. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't have that, then I might lower it. But, not everyone may have that, but you might have something else. Exactly. So, for example, you might have connections to a producer. Yeah. Or Israeli culture or anything like that. So you have to really think about not just what are you going to charge for this video, but what are you charging which the company cannot get without you?
And I think it's also like remembering that $750 a day to one person may seem like a lot, and to someone else that may be really cheap. Like different opportunities are different things, and it's knowing your price, and also you as a filmmaker are going to continue to change and grow and change your price as well. Like that's also like completely normal. And just being able to like, I think what I've learned, like my biggest advice is just fucking start high.
Yeah, you can always
and you can always go down. But we've both had experiences where we've been like, oh, I don't know, like maybe
$50.
Yeah, $50. Is that okay? And they're like, yeah, fucking oath. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like I'll do that. And then afterwards you're like, fuck, like I could have got $2,000 for
obviously it always depends on the company and the client and who you're working with. So I'll usually start at $750. I've just chosen that and just gone, okay, this is a good starting point. And then if they go, oh, we can't really work with that, then I go, okay, so what have you budgeted for a filmmaker? Let's work around that.
Yeah,
because you can always come down and work out a rate that works for you guys, because you know, especially if it's a project that I really want to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're willing to be flexible and stuff.
If I'm going to find other collaborators through the project, then 100% I'm so willing to do it. And especially if it's, for me, if it's a First Nations company or something like that run by First Nations people, that's not my rate at all. I'll probably do it for free, to be honest, because the First Nations companies don't have the same
budget
opportunities to get budget as non-First Nations. That's just built into our system. So it will always be lower for mob. But you know, if it's non-Indigenous, then my rate is $750.
100%.
And also, it's not just about me wanting to get paid. I think $750 for me as a First Nations video creator, I have to uphold that for other First Nations video creators. Because if I lower it to, you know, absolutely nothing, then that company might go to another First Nations creator and be like, oh, but you know, I already work with someone who did it for $300. And that already lowers it for them. So
the quality, it's like, there's something about knowing your self-worth and sticking to that is not only for you, but it's for everyone around you. Because when I witness someone that is like, this is what I'm worth, this is what I can give you, like I know my worth, it's so much easier for me to then be like, okay, fuck, like I'm gonna do that too. Like you need to see other people do it. And like you said, like for you as like an Indigenous filmmaker, like you're standing for so many people that need that as well, to be like, we have so much knowledge, and like we're worth this amount or more. You know, it's not even about the price of money, but it's just knowing your worth. And like that's something that my mum really helped me when I've been trying to figure out different prices and stuff. It's like, it's not even about necessarily the money. It's about knowing like that you have something to give and
that they can't get.
Yeah. And that you can stand in that and be like, okay, if you can't pay that, okay, then I'll be generous. But at least then you know how generous you're being. Yeah. It's like if you're just starting at 50, then you're like, oh, but that's just, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like you then you don't feel like, then you feel resentment, and you're like, whereas I'm so much more happy to be like, hey, my rate's, I don't know, fucking this and that. And then someone being like, I can't do that, and being like, okay, well, I'll give you a discount. But then I know how much I'm discounting, and I can still know in myself, okay, that's what I'm worth as a creator, which is so important.
And it just adds so much more value to the process of creating what you got to create. Because you're not feeling any resentment or anything like that. Yeah, fully. It's a standard we have to uphold as creatives.
Completely. And it's such a hard one to navigate. And I don't know, everyone gets so funny about money, which I understand, because it's so much of us go through so much suffering and different things, you know, connected to money. So I understand why it's a touchy, hard subject. But at the same time, I think it's something that I wish people talked about more, because I think if we were more just open about it, then it would help so many other people also know their price and be able to, do you know what I mean? Like And obviously, there's everyone's in
especially
a different,
for young people. Like, you just
people
get cheated so often.
People take advantage of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, in minority groups and kids that don't really know, and even adults that just have never been able to find their price and have someone be like, yeah, you are worth that much. I think,
it just always keep in mind when creating a budget is, why are they hiring you?
Yeah.
What is it about you that they can't get?
Yeah.
And that's something that I really learned from going to the Instagram thing.
Yeah.
Instagram was like, if you're going to do a branding alignment with a company, think about not like, I have like 5,000 followers. I might, if I promote something, maybe 2 sales will, they'll get 2 sales from it, which is nothing. But I always have to uphold my price because, for example, if Nike wanted to work with me, Nike might not be able to tap into my audience, which my audience is First Nations people and things like that. So that's them going through me to find a new audience and to keep up with the younger generation, for example. So without you, they can't get that. And it's not about how many sales they make. It's about the audience that they're getting through you. So, and that is so
valuable. Yeah. So and it's so hard sometimes. Yeah, when we are feeling insecure, like what makes me different? Like, what do I have to give? But at the end of the day, it's like we are all so unique and different. And even if you can't see exactly what you have now, you'll never be able to do things exactly the same. But that's also your strength. Like, if a brand or someone or wants to work with you, you need to know that, like, they can't work with, like, there is no other you out there. So it's like, you need to be able to be like, yeah, that's me, and that's what you're getting, and that's what I'm worth. And
if you do it, if we do it, it makes it so much easier for everyone.
Exactly. So I wonder how long we've been talking. About an hour.
Really?
I have so much other stuff I want to talk about, but maybe we'll just have to do another episode.
Yeah, we could definitely do another one.
Yeah.
Down the track. There's so much more to touch on.
Yeah, we'll definitely do another one. But to end it off, I always end my episodes asking the question of, right now, in this time in your life, what one do you think you need to work on more, ego or humility for yourself?
Damn, that's hard. I would say ego, most likely, especially moving forward with where I am and where I want to take my company. Think I need to tap into a bit more of that, like, business producer ego style. Yeah,
like that you got this. Like, yeah. Fuck yeah. I'm so excited to see all the things you're going to do. Like, Jahvis is fucking killing it. I will link all of your... I mean, I don't even... guys, I haven't uploaded it. This is all pre-filmed, so I don't know how it works. But I think if there's a description, I will link it. Maybe tell them all your ats right now for Jahvis, something deadly.
My personal at on Instagram is at Jahvis Loveday, so Jahvis Loveday, and that's the same on YouTube. And for Instagram, for my company, it's at Something Deadly Official, and on YouTube, it's at Something Deadly.
Fuck yeah, guys, go check him out if you haven't already. I'm sure a lot of you guys know Jahvis very well, but you're incredible. What you're doing for the world is so important, and I'm just constantly in awe of you. And just very grateful I have you as a friend. And thanks for coming on the pod.
Joy, and thanks for the podcast. I think it's a really good idea to be able to talk with other young people. Like, we are the next generations of storytellers, and so is everyone else out there. So get talking, otherwise get
someone
lost.
Else will do so. Someone else will talk for you. All right, bye guys.
Ciao.